Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the analysis of YOLENO TV. I hope you're well from wherever you're watching this channel. Now, William Kabogo is actually the ICT nominee after having been nominated by William Samoei Ruto in William Samoei Ruto's move to try to contain Mount Kenya that is slowly slipping away from him. Now,
a question I have dealt with all my life since that fateful day when Professor Saitoti, the late, dropped names of MPs as suspected drug dealers. I want to say here on record, Mr. Speaker.
William Kabogo was taken through a series of grading. And in one particular scenario that I managed to pick out of the scenarios that was spotted during the proceeding, the vetting proceeding, is that the case that was brought by JUNET MOHAMMED about drug trafficking. Now, it's alleged that back then in the days, those are days when George Saitoti was still alive. So he brought a motion in Parliament back then, and in that motion, according to sources, William Kabogo was mentioned as one of those people who were involved in drug trafficking. Now, back then, it was also said that William Kabogo used to be Aaron Mwau's driver, if my facts are correct, based on what was said there. So there's a very explosive inquest here from JUNET MOHAMMED that got William Kabogo almost shedding tears there, for those of you who follow the proceedings. Now, so before we get further, kindly like this video and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And to existing subscribers, as usual, I always like to thank you so much, because without you this channel wouldn't have grown. So William Kabogo was taken through a series of questions. There's the issue of Kaino's death. That has always been disturbing William Kabogo's reputation, and especially that is the main reason why he did not secure a second term. And also, considering the history also, that is the reason why William Kabogo's politics is going to chini. Some of those things like Kaino's issue. Then there's pure opulence. And now I want us to first of all listen to what JUNET MOHAMMED told Kabogo. Just pay attention to this video.
Honorable Speaker, through you, I would like to ask the nominee, Honorable William Kabogo Gitau, that we are looking here at the suitability, his suitability to be the Cabinet Secretary for ICT. In that regard, having been a governor, member of parliament, and having run a huge county like Kiambu, I have no doubt in his capacity. But these are the questions I want to ask. In 2010, Honorable Chairman, the late Professor George Saitoti, then the Minister for Internal Security, named in Parliament persons suspected to be drug traffickers in connection with alleged illegal trade, drug trade, and who are under investigation. Among the persons that were named, Honorable Speaker, the name of Honorable Kabogo appeared on the list. Can you make it clear to this committee and the great people of this country who are watching you today, did you or have you ever been suspected or charged with drug trafficking? Second question is, this is a simple one, during your tenure as a governor of MOHAMMED, of Kiambu. No, Kichwangi, do you come it's Kiambu. You have snapped, they say many times, summons from the Senate. Now, as a cabinet secretary, you will be answerable to Parliament. These are, other than the appointing authority, these are your next employers, second employers. You will appear here every day to answer questions on ICT and those kind of things. Will you be able to appear before the Senate and the National Assembly at any time that are required? And lastly, people also describe you as somebody who is they say tough-headed, bordering arrogancy, highest level of high-handedness. How are you going to be compatible now with being a CS with this kind of job that requires a lot of humility? And looking at your CV lastly, I went through, you have not indicated How many children you have?
Very well, ladies and gentlemen. Based on that questioning, I won't say that JUNET Mohammed was a bit lenient on Kabogo, because these questions, Kabogo had to set the record straight, and based on his explanation, Kabogo says that Saitoti back then made a terrible mistake, and the facts were not correct, and he was vindicated after much grilling. So based on his defense, Kabogo said yeye hajawahi kudeal na drugs, na whoever manufactured that story had very bad intentions, and the intention was to ruin his reputation. And according to him, he says that this is something that he has been carrying all along. Now, do you buy that story with that Kabogo was not involved? I don't have facts to prove that he was or he wasn't involved, but based on a statement that he shared, that I'm going to share, ladies and gentlemen, in his response, he said that the person who brought that story, and this is in particular reference to Saitoti manufactured that story, na hiyo ilikuwa ni ya kumharibia because of his presidential ambitions. Most likely that's what Kabogo is telling us. Maybe to get this proof, just watch this video.
A question I have dealt with all my life since that fateful day when Professor Saitoti, the late, dropped names of MPs as suspected drug dealers. I want to say here on record, Mr. Speaker, I have never, ever dealt with drugs of any kind all my life. Mr. Speaker, this is... Not even Panadol? Mr. Speaker, I do not imagine that JUNET Mohammed was asking about Panadol. I have some in my pocket if it's just Panadol. But I know he's talking about hard. We know what he's talking about hard drugs, cocaine, and the rest. And this is a very disturbing subject, Mr. Speaker. But I invite Kenyans also to have a look at the dossier that Mr. Saitoti brought to the House. It's a dossier such that, Mr. Speaker, if it was given to Inspector Mwala, it would not pass Mr. Mwala's table for a script. If, Mr. Speaker, at that point in time, and records speak here in this House, I fought vigorously the tabling of our names without a leave of the House, because the rules are such that if you are discussing the conduct of an MP, you need to move a substantive motion. But for that particular one, it went through smoothly as planned. But my point here, Mr. Speaker, the government or agencies, the police, did a thorough investigation, and they gave a temporary report a month later, which was tabled and is part of the records of this House, and they found that I was not culpable. I had never been involved in drug trafficking, and I had never been a driver of the Honorable Mao, as that dossier had said. I actually said, Mr. Speaker, on the floor of this House, that there is no need of anyone trying to do extradition proceedings to get me to travel to the US to answer these charges. I offered myself. They gave me a one-way visa, and I'll take myself to any part of the world to answer charges of drugs. It's never happened. So the authors of that dossier probably didn't get exactly what they wanted, but what they got is messing with people's names. And that is the situation it is today. Mr. Speaker, it has continued to happen. People talking about, you will find some of us are named Pablo, all those names.
Very well, ladies and gentlemen, that is what he mounted as a serious defense, a defense to this issue of drug trafficking. So I don't know, but Kabogo says that anybody who talks about this issue or tries to peddle the rumors is always going to take that person to court. That is his way of trying to protect his image, but Saitoti had already ruined it, and if there is anyone to blame, is the late George Saitoti, the former Vice President of the Republic of Kenya. But we all know that politicians huwa wanajitoa kwa makosa, hata kama ni yao, watajitoa tu. But back then, US ilikuwa enlist Kabogo as one of those people wanted for drug trafficking. But Kabogo, William Kabogo, the former governor of Kiambu County, has set the record straight. And based on his defense, hizo ilikuwa ni malicious propaganda meant to taint his image. That is how he puts that story to rest. Now, ladies and gentlemen, kindly just allow me to wind up there, but you can just react below in the comment section and tell us whether you think Kabogo is telling the truth or is telling a lie, but based on his defense, you could say he's telling the truth.